Hello everyone, welcome back to the Keep Productive YouTube channel. Now today we're very honoured to have the likes of Kehi back with us. Now Kay is been on this channel here before. We've done an interview with him and it was a particularly in-depth interview about how he utilises Notion, and it is pretty an awesome video, so do make sure to check that out. But today's video, we're very lucky because he's doing a very specific video about how to design Notion for advanced GTD, which I know something that I haven't covered here on the channel and something that a lot of people have been asking for. Because GTD is so useful, they want to be able to blend it inside of Notion. So he's going to be doing a really useful tutorial in today's video, so big thank you to him. He has cohort 4 of his Notion course out, which is going to be available below. Now this is really advanced. It's quite a brilliant set of live training as well as webinars and also tons of resources. Now you can check it out below and I'll include all the details about when cohort 4 is out. But a big thank you for him to coming on and sharing this exclusive tutorial with us here. So thank you very much to Kehi, and make sure to check out all of the details below. So without further ado, let's roll into today's video.
Thank you, Francesco, for the kind introduction. Hey everyone, my name is Kehi. I'm the creator of RadReads, a blog and email newsletter, and I also teach the Notion course, Supercharge Your Productivity with Notion. You can learn more about it over at notion.courses. Today we're going to walk through an advanced productivity setup based off of the GTD system, or David Allen's timeless getting things done method. So without further ado, let's dive right in.
So let us get started. What I've done here is I've opened a blank page and we'll start with a table. I always like to style these tables, so I'll do a little custom icon action. I've got them all loaded in my Notion icons folder, and we'll use the Thunderbolt. And then I'll just slap on some color just to make it look good. So I'll change color and I'll do this hot pink. So the first table we're going to create is a task table. Task table. And Notion always defaults these 2 columns. And so this will be a task name. And we will go through the standard elements of a task manager, but also a GTD task manager, getting things done. So I will change this to, what does every task manager need? We need a checkbox. We need to know if it's done. So we'll go in, that will be a checkbox, and I'll clean it up here. You'll see for formatting, I always unwrap the cells so that we get a nice clean line. So what will our second column be? Standard to-do list, that will be a due date. And as you know, that will be a date field. So I will go in, select the date field. Now we've got a nice little date field. What else? So GTD has a concept called, for metadata, called contexts. And context can be person, places, or things. So I'll put in context. And then the context will be, this will be a multi-select. Think of it as a tag. So a person could be my wife, my boss. Place could be my laptop. Oops, that's a thing. Place could be my home or my office. And then I throw in 2 new ones, energy states, high energy and low energy. All right, and so these are different contexts. I'll delete those, but they're locked in. And then GTD gives us prioritization. So we could say high priority. And that will be we'll make it a checkbox as well. And then lastly, just so you could see a numerical field, we'll put in duration, how long we think this task will take, and that will be a number field. Now you can see I added a few tasks to this list, some context, due dates, etc. Now, one thing that's notably missing is there's no project list, right? What projects or task lists do these roll up into? Now, I could go in and create a new column here using this plus sign, but that will not allow me to slice and dice the data, especially through the lens of getting things done, or GTD. So what I'm going to do now is go and create a separate table. And this next table will be called, let me just fire up our little icons. This next table will be called our project table. So here is our Flash. We'll call this project table. I'll make it a table and add a nice little cover. This one will make, we'll change it to yellow. So now we have our project table, and we're going to replace this with project name. And what we'll do is, so if you saw the tasks that I created, let me flip back. These first ones fall under personal finance, and these are much bigger ones. They're my bucket list. So I'm going to go back to my project table, and I'm just going to create 2 projects, personal finance and bucket list. I'll delete this extra row. We do not need this column yet. And now I'm going to teach you how to create a linked database. This is the magic of Notion, which really distinguishes it from Google Sheets or other task managers, and its customizability. So I'm going to hit this plus sign, and we're going to go to advanced features. So yep, you've already made it to the big leagues. We'll go into relation, and we'll select a database. So it's going to ask us, what table do you want to link this to? And I'll type in table, tasks, table, and it's this one with the Thunderbolt, and I hit create relation. So it just gives me this column and an arrow, and I'm going to rename this and say project, tasks, and I always put linked just to remind me that they're coming in. So again, I wrap the text. And so personal finance, now watch what happens when I click this. This is incredible. Oh my gosh, it links to all the tasks I created. And you see I added the metadata. Similarly, if I went in here, once again, so now I've created a hierarchy. I'm going to roll tasks up into a project. But I'm going to do that at the task table level. And don't worry about the tables, because we're going to then merge them into a dashboard. So if you see here, I have a new column, and it tells me what task is this what project is this related to? Okay, personal finance. So as you know, the first couple are personal finance. And then I can also copy them down. And the last 3, surf in South Africa, those are bucket list. These are things I'd want to do in my lifetime at some point. And then I'll roll these down. So again, if I flip back to my other list on my projects, you'll see that it's linked. They're hidden. They're all hidden here, but you'd see they're linked. Let me unwrap it actually so you can see it. They're all linked to the right categories. Next, we're going to go in and create our first page. So we had 2 tables, but now we're going to create a page. And this page is going to be our GTD dashboard. Once again, let me add a little icon. The icon that I'm going to pick this time, I got a nice little, where is that box? Cube. So it'll be our GTD dashboard. What color are you guys feeling right now? We'll do a nice little red. GTD dashboard. So now I have a blank page, and I'm going to create my first linked database. So what would we want to look for? We would want to see our tasks that are due soon. So I'm going to create a header, due soon. I'm going to do a little formatting to make it a nice pop with a nice purple background. I'm going to widen this out and go to small text to give us more view. We're going to have a lot of data here. And I'm going to create my first linked database. These are, in my course, I teach my 3 favorite words, create linked database. And what that does is it lets us grab a table. And so see here we have task table. And right away, boom, oh dang, it just drops in all the information from our prior table. Now, this is a lot, and you can think of this as a mirror to our current table. So what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to think about, okay, due soon. So we want to look at all of the tasks that are due soon. So that will mean a filter. That will be our first filter. So our first filter will be due date is within the next week. Now look at that. It pulls up those two. Now, since this is a dashboard view, we might want not to see all of these columns. So what I can do is go in and look at the properties. And let's say we'll ditch context. We'll keep done. We'll keep due date. We'll ignore duration. We'll ignore this. And we do want to see what project this is in. So we'll pop this in here. And then you see it's linked to our personal finance. So this is our first our first dashboard that says that basically tells us which tasks are due within the next week. We could then duplicate this. So I'll duplicate this, and then I'll say which tasks are high energy. So you might be a morning person and you wake up and you want to see your high energy tasks. So I'll duplicate this view. Just so that I don't have to do all the column organization again. But now I'm going to want to go in and change my filters, right? So instead of filtering by due date, let me erase that so you could see what that looks like. Instead of doing by due date, I will filter by, filter by context. And now it's going to give me the options for my context, give me all of my high energy tasks. And so research surfing in South Africa is a high energy task. That's off of my bucket list. So that's something that I might want to consider. So these are two ways to organize your views. Now let's talk about inboxes. So let's say that I want to add tasks. We'd also go to our dashboard. And so here, I'll again go in. Actually, you can do Control-Shift-H, Command-Shift-H. And here I'm going to recreate the link database again. And so again, I'll go to Task Table. Now, one of the things about GTD is that once you assign a task, once you assign a project to a task, it gets out of your inbox. So that enables what GTD folks will call quick capture. And so what we want to do is to create a methodology for adding our tasks and then having them removed from our inbox. So the first thing I'm going to do is, again, go to properties. I want our project to be second. We'll keep context. We actually don't need done because a new task will always be marked as undone. And then we'll keep due date. I'm going to hide duration just for cleanliness. Okay. So here are our lists of tasks. But again, you see these all have been assigned to projects already. So once again, I'll create a filter that says, do not show me tasks where the project related to project is not empty, right? So it's been assigned something, so project is not empty. Oops. Okay, only show me things where project is empty. It's going to hide it if it's not empty. And so let's say I added a new task. I'm on my finances. Let's say I need to update YNAB subscription. Okay. And then I want to, pay my utility bill. Okay, these are two tasks. And you'll see that once I put in, let's give this one a due date. Once I put in a project, by the way, it's my same two projects. Oh, boom, disappears. Now it didn't disappear into the ether. It just disappeared. It just was hidden from this view, and it's still with the right project. So once again, this is a personal finance project, and there you go. That is how you create an inbox. Now, the real magic in GTD is the ability for it to resurface the important projects in your life. This happens under a review function, which you could think about it as a butler who basically serves you a project list and says, hey, you need to check on the tasks on this list. So what we're going to do now is create, we're going to actually go back to our project table, and we're going to build in this review function. So I'm going to delete this useless column. And so what we'll do now is we're going to create a few date-related columns. So the first one will be last review, and the date will go, that will be a date field. And then the next one will be review frequency, and that will be a number, so the number of days to review. And then we'll start with that. So let's say, so this is a manual date. So let's say I last reviewed my finances on April 1st. Today is the 20th. And let's say I last reviewed my bucket list today or yesterday. Okay. So those are 2 dates. And let's say we want to review, personal finance is something you want to review once a week. So we'll put in 7. Bucket lists might be every 60 days. These are longer term. If you're familiar with Eisenhower matrix, it's important but not urgent. So now what we want to do is we'll create our first date formula. So I'm actually not going to create a date, but I'm going to create a formula. And this formula, I'm going to rename it, is called next review. This is a dynamic formula that changes. And so I'll readjust the column and I click in here and it asks me to define a formula. So I know that the formula that we want to use is called date add. So I type in date and you'll see it. These are cap specific. So here's date add and here's the formula. It takes a date. So we're going to use last review as the date. A number, we're going to use review frequency. So 7 and 60. And then text, which we type in and it tells you, what are you adding? Are you adding days, months, years? We're adding days. So watch this. So we're going to go date add, and then it pulls up our variables here. So, oops, let me just do that again. Date add. It pulls up our variables, last review, and then I put in a comma, and then the days to review frequency. And then I put in a comma, and then I type in days. Remember, cap specific, close the parentheses, hit Command Enter or this done button. And you see, so we last reviewed this project on April 8th and April 1st. And so 7 days later is April 8th. We last reviewed this one on April 19th. So last one, add 2 months, June 19th. So now we're going to do a test. And what we're going to basically say, remember, today is the 20th. So if today's date is greater than the next review date, then the task is overdue. So watch this. Again, the tag is overdue. And again, I go advanced. It's a formula. And I'll say it's basically very simple. It's next review, or I'm sorry, today's date, which is a formula called now. So today's date, So you see now, I type in now, and it shows us the syntax here. Is today's greater than next review? And I hit enter, and boom, you'll see it's overdue. So now what we can do is we'll go back to our dashboard, and we'll add another column. Let's do it below here. So I'll duplicate this. And then this is requires review. And I'll hit enter. My 3 favorite words: create linked database. You're gonna love these words by the end of this. So project. This will actually be our projects table. So it pulls up our project. Oh, look at that! Look at that! And so what we do here is we're gonna again clean up our rows, and by doing that, I go into properties. I want to keep all the review. I don't need to know if it's over. Actually, I don't need to know if it's overdue because we've already done it. And I'm going to hide my tasks. So look what we have Now here we can say, we could actually even hide. Here's another way to hide it. I double tap there. I go to hide. So basically last review, next review. Those are two columns here. And now with the filter, I'm going to say only show me projects where overdue is checked. And as we saw, overdue is checked because today's the 20th and this is April 8th. So let's say I go in here and I look at the tasks and I think about it. That's what that was the Butler example I was giving you. So I go out there and then let's say, okay, I'm going to go into this field and today's the 20th and I reviewed it. Watch what happens. Watch what happens. Boom, disappears. So I can go on with my day. So there you have it. You have let's recap. You start with a task table where you have your standard task management lists, task management fields. Then you head over to a project table where the project table has the overarching projects. It creates the hierarchy, and this is a linked database. And then you create a dashboard, which has an inbox, which filters off of project table. It has a review table, which filters off of if it's overdue, which uses some date formulas. And then it has a bunch of filters, and these would be called perspectives. So that is the full overview of our GTD dashboard.
All right, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial and can see how the review function is the secret sauce of the GTD method. If you'd like to learn more about Notion, check out notion.courses, and you can follow my tutorials over at my YouTube channel down in the comments below.